Hello and welcome back to Green Money Momentum, where we talk about market movements, making money, and money momentum. I'm your host, Trevor, and we are here for yet another daily talk of stock. And today it is Friday, June 20th, and today was a highly anticipated day because of yesterday we did have the market holiday. And so going into today, we did have a green pre-market, and then to start the day, we did see some plays fall off, and there was some swift recoveries in some, and others continued to trail off during the day. Just as the heat map shows here, we did have a pretty split day. So we did have some green, we did have some red, but the big news in the market today that could have sparked some of the optimism was the Fed Governor Waller said that central banks could cut rates as early as July. So opposite of what we heard from the Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell on Wednesday, when they did have the big announcements and there was an announcement that there was no rate cut coming up, he said when it comes to rate cuts in the future, they are still data dependent. So Jerome Powell didn't really give any time frame when rate cuts would come, but now we see the governor saying that he wants rate cuts as early as next month. And so this is interesting because we're seeing here, the governor is taking the same opinion as Trump, wanting to see a rate cut, as I'm sure many Americans feel the same. I know myself, I want to see a rate cut because it will help to stimulate the markets. And overall, the markets are still in levels of neutrality. We are getting close to greed again, and I think now is an interesting time to pull up the psychology of a market cycle and to discuss where we are possibly at. So recently, we know earlier in the year, there was a lot of bleeding, and a lot was because of the Federal Reserve and the rate cuts. So this year we have talked about the three-headed dragon of fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and that is inflation, that is tariffs, and then that is interest rates. And all three of those factors did cause some of the sell-off that we saw towards Liberation Day. But I think what really caused the sell-off more than the other two factors was interest rates, because last December when Jerome Powell came out and said that this year we would be going from 4 rate cuts to just 2, that was when a lot of the fear, uncertainty, and doubt was sparked, and when the overall sentiment and the overall market started to shift more towards a bearish sentiment and towards the downside. Now, we have started to see that recovery most recently. And in general, the markets have shaken off the news around interest rates. So the markets are still looking to push up despite us not having a rate cut through 6 months out of the year. So investors, we have been patient and we have been persistent while we have been waiting for this rate cut. But with that being said, the markets have showed a lot of strength recently. And I believe that personally, we are right in this level of optimism right here when it comes to the market psychology. I would be curious to hear where you guys think we're at, but we have seen with the recent strength from the recovery right after Liberation Day, the markets have shaken off what would have caused a bigger sell-off earlier in the year. So things such as the credit rating downgrade from Moody's, and then also with the war in the most recent term. And so I still think we do have a ways to go up, and I think we are going to soon push into belief, thrill. It's going to be a while till we get to euphoria, but we will get there soon enough. Hopefully, we do get a rate cut next month. That would be great. It is not projected, but if there was, that would be pretty stimulative for the economy. And with stimulation and with interest rates being cut, some of the plays that benefit the best from those movements are tech, cryptocurrency, and a lot of these volatile plays. And so today we're going to be talking about 3 different plays that are taking advantage of the mass adoption into cryptocurrency. So if there is a rate cut, they will see some nice return on investment, most likely. But regardless, I am still bullish on all these plays no matter what, because I do believe that we are pushing more into the mass adoption into cryptocurrency. And so today we're going to be talking about Circle Internet Group, DJT, and also Robinhood stock. And so with Circle Internet Group, the reason why we are talking about them, they are a fairly new stock. They IPO'd earlier in the month on June 5th, but some big news around this stock. If you don't know what Circle Internet Group is, what they are doing is they are doing business as Circle. It is a peer-to-peer payments technology company, and they manage the stablecoin US dollar coin. So a staple when it comes to cryptocurrency. If you invest into cryptocurrency and you transact from different coins, say from Solana to Ethereum to Bitcoin, you always have US dollar coin involved, especially many times if you're looking to go from a certain token to US dollar coin. And so with this bill being passed through the Senate, we're just going to need to see it passed through the House and then signed by the president. But that should be no problem because, as we know, Trump is the most pro-crypto president of all time. But with this being said, this is going to help to lower transaction costs and take away some of the gray area when it comes to stable coins, overall helping transactions and just overall money moving around the economy. So banks are already going towards stable coins. We know that JP Morgan has a stable coin, and we are going more and more into the mass adoption into cryptocurrency and internet currency every single day. And so having something as powerful as the US dollar coin and having regulations or gray area taken away from it is pretty powerful. And so with this news, Circle Internet Group has seen a lot of momentum, and we have seen with this stock, it is up 600% for the month alone. So this play right here IPO'd at $30 and it is all the way up to $244. So in my last video, I mentioned how I had yet to be involved with Circle Internet Group. I was a bit late to this play. I decided I wasn't going to invest into this play overnight, but if I did see the opportunity today, I was going to do a day trade, and that is exactly what I did. So as we know, the markets did have a bit of a trail off in the morning. I saw this happening, and I did see that the relative strength index and the MACD were lining up for good potential. I took the opportunity while the indicators all lined up, and I did catch some momentum in this day trade. So I did make some profits. I did sell a bit of my Circle Internet Group here later in the day, but I am also holding shares for the long term because it is going to be interesting to see what happens with this play once the bill gets to the House and then to the president. And if it gets passed, we could see an absolute explosion potentially, because with this last news and with it going through the Senate, we saw an explosion there. And so there could always be also with it going through the House, there could always be buy the rumor, sell the news. So just because it goes through the House doesn't mean there will be another explosion, a lot of volatility. But I figure right now is a good opportunity to join into Circle Internet Group as we get closer to those decisions which will be made. And so overall, this is very bullish for all of cryptocurrency, and we are just pushing more into the mass adoption into cryptocurrency because we know that our president is the most pro-crypto president of all time. Earlier this year, we did have the White House Crypto Summit. This is where they talked about adding Bitcoin to the Treasury at the White House. And now Trump Media and Technology Group, ticker symbol being DJT, is doing the same thing. They are announcing a $2.5 billion treasury into the stock DJT. And as we could see with this article, they did announce that the SEC declares this filing effective. And so throughout the last year with DJT, we have been covering this since last September, and there's been a lot of talks with what they are doing with cryptocurrency. So this stock right here isn't just a media company, but they have a lot to do with finance and decentralized finance as well. And what's really interesting and exciting for me is when I look at DJT over the last year, we could see that the number of 21 sits as a pretty major floor for this stock. Many times we were trading higher above the number 21, but many times we did come right back down to 21 and bounce off. So 21 sitting as a major floor in DJT. And what is exciting is we are slightly underneath that floor. So we are in the basement right now. The stock sitting at $17.80, but we are looking oversold on the relative strength index and then also on the MACD. So over the last year, I've been covering this stock, and as many of you know, I entered my initial position into DJT with a bunch of shares right around this level here, right around the $12 to $13 range, right before the election started. I have held my shares strong because of all the intrinsic value behind this company and because of the vision they have and what I believe in DJT. Through this time time, I've mainly been just holding shares, and then I've also added a couple options contracts that I sold for some short-term profit along the way. But today I actually built another long-term position in DJT. So I bought some options contracts right here today at the end of the market, as the markets were trailing off and as DJT was falling today. I bought some options contracts with a break-even price right around $21. So what I consider to be the floor, and these go till next year in January of 2026. So I do believe with DJT that there will be a pop coming up within this stock sometime here in the near future. And the reason why I bought these options contracts, which are to set to expire far out in the future, is because I can't tell you exactly when this pop will come, but it will definitely come because we are a bit oversold on this play. And in general, if we see any big catalyst for DJT, we could see a big pop, because right now we do have a high short interest building in DJT. We are back to the double digits of high short interest at 15%. So if we see any catalyst here in the short term, we could see a big pop when it comes to price. And then with the shorts having to cover, that will only help the pressure towards the upside, and we could see some crazy momentum. We know that DJT, many look at this just as a meme stock opportunity. We personally on this channel, or at least what I've been saying, I see the intrinsic value behind DJT and I see everything they are doing. But just for pass-by investors, when a big catalyst comes into DJT and when we start to see some momentum within this stock, you better believe that things could get crazy when it comes to volume. We've seen some pretty wild volume in DJT in the past, especially right before the election. So there is the opportunity and there is the potential that this volume does pick back up into DJT. It will most likely come when we get some type of catalyst. But in general, I am investing into DJT because of the long-term intrinsic value and everything they are doing with cryptocurrency. So I just wanted to update you guys on that, because I just did buy some very long-term options contracts for DJT, and I am very excited because to get to the break-even price, again, it's right at what I consider to be at the floor of just $21. And so the last stock that we're going to be talking about here, another play that is taking advantage of the mass adoption into cryptocurrency, and that is Hood, Robinhood stock, which is also currently trading at all-time highs, getting close to $80. And so Robinhood has seen an absolute rip from the bottoms that were set around Liberation Day, and I believe that the value and the price movements towards the upside will only continue in Robinhood because of all the bullish catalysts and fundamentals behind this company. So the most recent catalyst they had that just confirms the mass adoption into cryptocurrency is they did have their $200 million purchase of Bitstamp. So this is just more customers coming to Robinhood. They acquired all their Bitstamp customers, all that cryptocurrency, and this only adds to Robinhood's crypto services that they already offer. So there are a lot of different cryptocurrencies that you could trade on Robinhood. This only expands that, and just like expanding, well, their money supply is constantly expanding. They are making more and more money. We could see that their revenue is getting better quarter after quarter, and so obtaining more customers, only a positive. They are only going to continue to increase their earnings over time, and this company is in a net positive. So they do have a positive earnings per share. They do have a positive price to earnings ratio, a bit high, but you do pay for the premium to participate in this stock. And I do believe that Robinhood is only going to continue to soar. So I do foresee a triple digit price in Robinhood coming sooner than later. I hold a lot of Robinhood in my long-term portfolio, and that is not just because of the popularity with Robinhood, how many users there are, not just because of their positive revenue, but also this right here. And so many times with a lot of stocks, there are a lot of companies and a lot of stocks, there is a lot of dilution, and dilution is unfortunate, whichever way this dilution comes into, whether it is through reverse share splits, whether it's through just a mass offering of more shares, or whether they just issue debt through convertible notes. Many times dilution can really kill the opportunity for investors. But Robinhood looking to do the opposite of that. So if you are purchasing Robinhood and you are holding into Robinhood, your shares are actually coming down with time. So many times in the market, your shares are only getting expanded. You're getting your piece of the pie cut down. With Robinhood, we can see it's the opposite of that, as the board has authorized a $1 billion share repurchase program that is meant to be executed over the next 2 to 3 years. And so what does this mean for shareholders? Well, this reduces share count over time, which does increase earnings per share and improves shareholder value. So you are saying with the buyback, you are actually participating in a stock where your shares should become more valuable over time. Again, this company is only going to continue to earn revenue. They are alongside the mass adoption, the push into the mass adoption into cryptocurrency. And in my opinion, Robinhood is the most popular brokerage among young people. I was about to mention SoFi because I did a video a couple weeks ago between Robinhood and SoFi, and I definitely recommend checking that out because both are banking softwares, but both are banking stocks. But in my opinion, Robinhood is clearly the much stronger stock. And so I am very bullish on Robinhood, and I am also very bullish on DJT, as well as the first stock that we talked about here today, Circle Group. And I am just bullish on what the markets are presenting to us, which appears to be the mass adoption into cryptocurrency. We're only getting closer to there every single day. And I am very excited to see what the overall markets and the crypto markets have to present to us coming here in the near future. But I would love to hear what everyone else has to say. So please drop a comment in the section below on if you're bullish on any of these plays, or if there's anything else you're looking at in the market and you want me to talk about. Please drop that comment in the section below. Please leave a like and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. I thank you guys all so much for being here again for another daily talk of stock. Today it is Friday, so the markets are going to be closed tomorrow. You go out there, you enjoy your weekend, touch some grass, feel the sun, have some fun. All right. Thank you guys all so much. I'll see you again on Monday. Everybody, you have a great weekend and a great rest of your day.